Hello, my name's Andy from Race Technology, and in today's video I'd like to introduce our brand new SPEED10 sensor. That's a non-contact GPS speed measurement unit. So I'm from Race Technology. We've been going for about 15 years, and within the automotive industry we're probably best known for our Speedbox range of products. So this is one of them. This is the base Speedbox Mini unit. So this combines acceleration sensors with GPS to provide a very high accuracy speed measurement. We also do the Speedbox INS system, which also integrates a full IMU, so that's 3 gyros and 3 accelerometers together with the GPS data to provide even more accurate data. And finally, our most expensive unit combines the Speedbox Mini INS with a 2 centimeter GPS receiver, and that gives you roll pitch, yaw, distance and speed, but with a 2 centimeter positional accuracy. So in terms of market that we sell these into, the regular Speedbox, which just has the accelerometers integrated into the unit, that's suitable for high accuracy testing, but only straight line testing. So that's some brake testing and performance measurement. The Speedbox INS, the main market for that is very high accuracy, well, all types of brake testing, but also and all types of performance measurements, so 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kph acceleration timing, but also chassis dynamics and tyre testing. And finally, when you combine the Speedbox Mini INS with the 2 centimeter receiver, that's typically most often used in conjunction with driving robots and ADAS testing systems. So that's adaptive cruise control systems and automatic brake systems. So this is our most popular unit. We sell it to blue chip OEMs all over the world. It's very widely used within the industry. But our customers have been saying to us for a while, well, that's great, it's very high accuracy, but for a lot of our applications, actually that level of accuracy is not needed. So what we'd really like is a lower cost unit for, let's say, general purpose speed measurement. So that's where that was the reason the SPEED10 has been developed. So this is the SPEED10. As you can see, it's half the size of the Speedbox Mini. And it's a much lower cost and more straightforward speed sensor. So internally, we've got obviously a microprocessor, but also a 10 Hertz GPS receiver. And there's no inertial measurements integrated with this. So in comparison with the Speedbox, so this runs at a 200 Hertz, so this is 10 Hertz update rate, so it's lower. It uses signals from the GPS system and the GLONASS system for a very, very robust speed signal, and that's output in a couple of different formats. So the most popular output, which nearly all applications will use, is a CAN output, and that's fully configurable, which I'll show you in a moment. We also have a serial output of the data, which is suitable for connection to our other systems or a data display. So if you require a live display of speed, for example, then you can connect here. And for that application, I'd recommend the Dash 4 Pro, which works very nicely. And finally, we have a pulse output. And the most common reason to want to pulse output is if you're using the SPEED10 to replace a fifth wheel type sensor, or if you're using an older data acquisition system and it's not straightforward to connect CAN to it, then again the pulse output can be very useful in that type of application. We've also got some indications on there, so for power, status, GPS signal quality and so on, so some LED indications. On the rear of the unit, we've got obviously the connector for the GPS antenna. We say GPS antenna, it's actually GNSS because it's using both GPS and GLONASS, but it's labelled as a GPS. So that's a waterproof antenna which is supplied with the system, mag mount, which normally goes on the roof of the vehicle. We've also got a completely optional OBD connection. So that connects to the OBD port on the car. And that means as well as getting GPS data, you can also get OBD data, which is very useful in some applications. And finally, we've got a LEMO connector for the wide range power supply input, so that can be connected to the vehicle's power supply. So you see it's a very compact unit. It's a die-cast, our standard die-cast housing we use on most of our products. It's a standard size, so if you want to stack it with some of our other products, for example, a thermocouple input module or an analog input module or a data logger, then that's entirely possible. They integrate very nicely. Because there's no inertial sensors actually embedded in the unit, this can go anywhere in the vehicle, so there's no particular orientation requirements for it. And the GPS antenna, I'd say normally that would be on the roof, but it can be inside the vehicle. So in terms of application, I say the Speedbox, the very high actually one, is typically used for brake testing, chassis dynamics testing and ADAS work. The SPEED10 is not suitable for those applications. If you try to use it for brake testing, the accuracy requirements for OEMs for brake testing is typically, well, certainly no more than 10 centimeters for all tests, and that wouldn't be achievable with the SPEED10. So the SPEED10 is more a general purpose speed measurement unit. So for example, if you're doing general purpose road tests emissions tests, mileage accumulation tests, where you just need a speed signal, a good robust speed signal, but not the ultimate in accuracy, then this is ideally suited for it. So in terms of accuracy, I mean, typically when we're talking about a Speedbox product, we're talking about a few hundredths of a kilometre an hour worst case speed accuracy. In terms of the accuracy from this unit, then it's typically maybe a few tenths of a kilometre an hour. But also, and equally important, the timing on the Speedbox signals is specified to within a few hundred, well, actually a few microseconds. So it's very, very accurate. Whereas the timing of the speed output from this unit is within a few tenths of a second. So it's a non-precision unit, still very high accuracy, much higher accuracy than you get from a general purpose GPS receiver, but less so than the full Speedbox. So that's a description of the hardware. Hopefully you got some ideas of what to expect and the typical applications for that unit. Now going to switch to the PC and just introduce the configuration software that comes supplied with it. So I've already installed our software here. This is installed in industrial mode. I should say the software is completely free to download and install from our website. If we click to the second tab on here, all applications, you can see that the SPEED10 configuration is included here. And this is the configuration software. It's very straightforward. So at the top here, we can set the CAN rate. We can set the ID length, that's either 29 or 11-bit. For the pulse output, we can set the number of pulses per meter. So 100 pulses per meter, so a pulse per centimeter is by far the most typical configuration there. In this case, we have the box ticked for use default race technology CAN addresses, but that is freely configurable. So if I untick that, I can actually set the address here. So if I wanted to set it to an alternative address, so for example, set that to A, that's entirely possible, or I can set it back to the standard ones. And finally, very useful, we can generate a DBC file. So if I click on here, that will allow us, so for example, if I want to save a DBC file to the desktop, just simply save there, and here we have a DBC file that's generated. So DBC is the standard file format for specifying CAN outputs. So normally you would configure the Speedbox with CAN addresses, you'd generate a DBC file, and for 99% of industrial CAN loggers, you can then just drag and drop that DBC file to it, and it will know what all the format and the addresses are of the CAN data. So once you've set all those up as you wish, then you can send that configuration to the unit. It's not actually connected at the moment, so it will report an error shortly. That's configured, it only ever needs to be done once. Obviously that configuration is stored within the unit. Okay, hopefully that gives you some idea of what the SPEED10 is capable of. If you are interested in more details about it, then just get in touch at our website or email sales@race-technology.com, and we would be delighted to help. Thanks very much.